Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. Yep, it's a radio show, all right. You might be listening to it as a podcast, but it's a radio show. Regardless of how you are hearing my voice, when you are hearing my voice, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I consider it a blessing to sit in this studio at this microphone every week to talk about the history and tradition of the great outdoors here in the great state of Michigan. We talk about hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping and wildlife issues and conservation issues, even some wild game cooking. We wrap up each week's show with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar, and he will be along with us once again. Welcome to the month of May. What does that mean for you? Does it mean morels? Does it mean you're hunting the Michigan mosquito season for turkeys? Which can be a very, very, very productive time to hunt birds, by the way. It took me a while to get that through my thick skull. And I didn't intentionally find this out. I found out accidentally when I had ZZ, which is open from the end of April through May, and I couldn't get a bird in late April, so I ended up hunting in early May, and it was amazing. It was interesting, the difference in the behavior of the birds in May versus 2 weeks earlier, especially the further you get into the season, the longer into the month. Because, by then, most of the hens have been bred. The toms, the longbeards, the gobblers, they're out looking. They're more responsive to calls. Midday hunts in May are absolutely beautiful. So if you're out there turkey hunting, good luck to you. I want to see your pictures, by the way. Your successful turkey pictures. And listen, success doesn't mean necessarily the harvest of an animal. You can have a very, very successful hunt and not take an animal. You can have a wonderful fishing trip and not catch any fish or not catch your limit. That's not what it's about. It's the experience that is the experience. I think most hunters and anglers go through this progression in their life. When you're young, and I'll talk about myself here, but as I've talked with a lot of my friends, they echo these thoughts. When you're young, you just want to prove to yourself and your buddies that you can do it. So you're learning how to do it. You're learning how to hunt. You're learning how to fish. So step 1 is to learn. Step 2 then is to try to be as proficient as you can. Okay, well, I caught a big fish today, or I caught a limit of fish today. And that starts to be your goal. Numbers and size. A big walleye, a big deer, a big turkey. And that goes on for a few years. And then it's like, okay, you go from numbers, quantity, to quality. I want my hunt to be a good hunt. And if I'm going to pull a trigger, I want it to be, I don't want to say a trophy animal, but something I can be very proud of. A big walleye. Big turkey, big bear, big deer. And then time catches up with you. And that's when it starts to click that this whole thing that we're doing here, this hunting and fishing lifestyle, is not about the harvest. We have to harvest fish and game to ensure their successful management for generations into the future. You have to hunt and fish. You have to harvest fish and harvest game to make for healthy populations for the future. But eventually, the harvest doesn't become the goal anymore. The experience is what counts. It's the experience of being out there that is the ultimate experience. And then you get to the point where it's like, you know what? I don't care if I ever harvest something again, but I still want to be out there, and I want to take somebody else with me. I want to take a kid with me. I want to take a spouse with me. I want to take a friend with me. And I want to introduce them to what this is that has me so addicted to this outdoor lifestyle. So it's a progression. Most of us go through that. Don't know how I got off track there, but I guess I was supposed to go there. So May is the time of year here in Michigan to apply for your Michigan bear tag and your Michigan elk tag. You might get a bear tag. You're not going to get an elk tag. Just resign yourself to the fact right now, you're not going to get an elk tag. If you apply with the mindset of, I'm not going to get one, when you don't get one, it's not a disappointment. But if God smiles on you and the heavens open up and a ray of sunshine comes down and lands in your mailbox or your inbox for your email and says, congratulations, you've been successful in the 2024 elk drawing, then you can rejoice and celebrate. That's how I go into it. Because I've been applying for a long time. Never, and I never will get an elk tag. The only way I will get an elk tag is if I get it through the Pure Michigan hunt, and I think I'm going to win that sometime while I'm still around. Now, I'm only saying this somewhat in jest because, of course, you have to apply if you want a tag. I mean, if you don't apply, you're never going to get a tag, right? When I used to MC the elk orientation meetings for the hunters, I would ask the question, there'd be like 100 hunters in the room. Okay, how many of you here have applied for 30 years? There'd be some people that hold their hand up. How many of you have applied for 20 years? Most of the people in the room hold their hand up. And I'd work my way down. I'd get to the point where I'd say, is there anybody in this room who this is the first year you applied and you got a tag? And there'd be 2 or 3 people put their hand up. And then I would say, you don't happen to have a bull tag, do you? And inevitably, somebody or a couple of somebodies would sheepishly raise their hand and say, yeah, I applied the first year and I got an elk tag. So it does happen. It's just not going to happen to you, and it's not going to happen to me. But if we don't apply, it can't happen. So I am going to apply for my Michigan elk tag, knowing full well I will not get it. So when I don't get it, I won't be disappointed. I'm also applying for my Michigan bear tag, and I will get one of those this year. At least I think I will. I'm applying for the 3rd season in an area in the UP. And well, in fact, I'll tell you, it's the Newberry District. My application is for 3rd season Newberry Bear Management Unit. If I get a tag, the bear whisperer, Johnny Bowler, is there waiting for me. I think I'm going to get a bear tag. I know I will be bear hunting in at least this is the plan, White River, Ontario, Canada in mid-August. I'll be back up there with Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. So I, with some luck, will have a bear hunt in Ontario in mid-August, and then a bear hunt in the UP in late September. Speaking of hunting, one of my favorite ways to hunt is out of a ground blind. You know I love that Primal Outdoors Wraith 270 see-through blind, which is my go-to. That might be being replaced as my go-to blind because yesterday the UPS guy showed up on my door and he dropped off a package. And in that package was a new blind called the Primal Harvester. Now, I've looked on the website. It's not offered anywhere. I can't find out anything about it. So I don't know. I mean, I knew this was coming because I've been talking to Bob Ransom. But what I don't know, if this is a prototype blind or if this is an actual production model blind. I like it. I'm not sure you can say it has see-through windows to the extent that the Wraith does. But the window configuration, the fact that it uses magnets instead of zippers, you know what I'm talking about. If you've hunted out of a portable ground blind, that zipper in the morning to get in, the zipper at night to get out, it's dead quiet in the woods. You're sneaking in there, zit, zit, the other side, and you got to get in. Or at night, same thing, zit, zit, and you can't get around it. Well, this blind uses magnets and a little hook that hooks the door. It is pretty sweet indeed. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know more about it. I don't know, again, when it's coming out, how much it's going to be, but I think it's going to be one of my go-to blinds for sure. The golf outing's coming up. I haven't had a chance to play any golf yet. I'm jonesing bad, but as you make your summertime plans, think about our golf outing in West Branch, Monday, July 29th. It's the first annual Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outing. It is to benefit MUCC's youth camp. I mean, if you're going to have a golf outing to raise money, if I'm going to have a golf outing to raise money, it's going to be an outdoor-related charity. And I immediately thought of MUCC's youth camp, and it all came together, so I'm convinced it's the way it was supposed to be. If you'd like to join us, if you'd like to play in the outing, or if you would like to be be a sponsor, you can go to the website, mucc.org/golf. That's mucc.org/golf to sign up. Also, Walleye for Warriors, still looking for boat captains. Go to walleyesforwarriors.org, walleyesforwarriors.org. That is June 8th and 9th on Saginaw Bay. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine show after the break, John Nelson talking about high school trap shooting. Then shooting expert Paul Phillips on an upcoming school he has to make you a better shooter. In our second hour, Jim Chamberlain on northern Michigan trout fishing, plus Amy Trotter of MUCC. And in hour number 3, early season big water trolling with Captain Dave Engel of Best Chance 2 Charters. And we will wrap it all up with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire, Dixie Dave Minar. My name is Mike Avery. The show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Glad you're with us. Lots coming up. Stick around. That's stick around after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show on more than 30 stations across the great state of Michigan, including, as soon as I find my list, I'll tell you, including WZTK in Alpena, that's 105.7 FM. You can also hear us. Let's go downstate. Let's go to St. Joe, WSJM 94.9 FM. And while we're at it, why don't we go, let's go north of the bridge. How about Marquette, WDMJ 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine, by the way, is brought to you by Matt Smith Outdoors Realtor. Matt is a longtime friend of mine. Oh, we've got him. Matt is a longtime friend of mine. He's an expert at finding recreational properties and vacation homes, and he can help your family turn a dream into a reality. Learn more online at Matt Smith Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram. And by the way, if you're looking for a new home as your primary residence, Matt can help you out there as well. That's Matt Smith Outdoors on Facebook and Instagram. I was telling you that I've been watching my grandson Carter shoot trap for his local high school team. Carter's a junior now, so I've been watching this process for the last couple of years, and it's been a very interesting process because I love guns, I love shooting, I love hunting, but I don't shoot trap, skeet, 5-stand, or sporting clays. I've done it, but it's just not my thing. So I'm not an expert at it. So I couldn't really help Carter out too much. In fact, not at all. So to watch him though, but I could early on. I mean, I've been pounding the concept of gun safety and firearm safety and all that into his head since he was real little. But to watch him progress in his skill and his proficiency, and to watch the other young people, the other kids come into the team and watch them grow, to watch their gun handling techniques and how seriously they take it. And then what really put me over the top was last year went down to the state championship in Mason at a huge trap range down there, huge. And there were thousands of kids there. And they shot tens of thousands of rounds. And they busted tens of thousands of clay pigeons. And there was not one accident. There was not one negligent discharge. There was not one accident of any kind. In today's world, when the concept of kids and guns in so many circles immediately draws gasps and red flags and threats of legislation to prevent kids from being around guns. I think the concept of high school trap shooting teams is wonderful, and that's one of the reasons why it's growing so fast. John Nelson is very much involved in this world. You can learn more on the website, usaclaytarget.com. That's usaclaytarget.com. He's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. John, I appreciate you being along. Tell me, what's this group and what's your title? What's the involvement? You guys are like the overseer of all the high school trap shooting?
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Yeah, we basically started this program in Minnesota back in the early 2000s to really start the Minnesota State High School Clay Target League. And from that, it has evolved into creating, eventually, as the USA Clay Target League, that then oversees about 40 different state high school clay target leagues, a college league, and a homeschool league. So, my role in that is I was at the kitchen table when the league was founded, and went through and how we can figure out how we can somehow get kids guns in schools and have that become a safe sport. That I kind of oversee all the leagues and all operations within the league.
So you've been involved in this since day one?
Day one, yes.
Wow. Congratulations. I mean, it's got to be especially encouraging for you to see the progression of this, to see where it is today and see what it's become.
Well, I'll tell you, Mike, in our early days, and as you can imagine, when we were walking into high schools and talking to athletic directors and school administrators to say, hey, we have a safe sport that will involve all your student athletes, regardless of their gender or physical abilities, and Title IX compliance, and there's no cost to the school. And boy, the school administrators were all for it until you told them it involved a shotgun. And it was from that day on where we had a few early adopters, thank goodness for them, because we had some athletic directors that were outdoorsmen and truly understood the sport. But what has happened now is that battleship has turned 180 degrees in the pond, and now we have school administrators contacting us asking, how do I get my school involved, because of what we hear, how many great things, as you described with your grandson, Carter, of what's going on with these kids and these teams.
And as I look at the kids involved, it's a lot of them they're not kids that would be out there playing baseball or football or basketball, but they find a niche.
Well, the beauty of the sport, and certainly for those involved, is you don't have to be the fastest or the strongest or the right gender, or it just doesn't matter. And for schools these days that are challenged with providing opportunities for their student bodies, that has a sport that's more inclusive than any other high school sport, it's really difficult for them and their school boards to say no.
How is this whole thing funded, John?
Well, it's really funded primarily through the teams. And when I say that, the teams are responsible for their own financing, raising funds, managing those funds, and then working with their athletes to ensure that everything's in place. And so those teams and the coaches and the parents that are doing a terrific job, we couldn't do it without them, that are helping these teams at the local bases, are coordinating the targets, and they're working with the shooting ranges. And the shooting ranges are being very conducive in bringing in these young people, because let's face it, that audience has been growing in age for the past 30, 40 years, and nothing's been done about lowering that age. And so through that, the teams are doing fundraising efforts just like they would with any other high school sport.
So you need the buy-in of the school, you need the buy-in of the local gun club, you need the buy-in of the parents, and of course then the students. There's a lot of factors involved in this to make it happen.
We have a lot of wheels that are turning at the same time, and it does take a lot of components to make this happen. And because we're so unique, 100% of the teams in our league are school approved. And so that gives the kids the ability eventually to letter in the sport, be recognized in the yearbook, and we all know how important it is for kids to be involved in school-sponsored activities. And so, again, like you mentioned, there's a lot of components that need to hum all at the same time to make this work.
You've taken it even to the level now, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, but you can there is trap at the college level, and I got to believe some of these schools are offering scholarships of some type to get kids involved.
Oh, many of them are. And, and it just makes sense. It took us a while to figure out that, about 20% of our audience graduates every year. And so these are shooting sport enthusiasts and young people that about 80% are considering going to post-secondary education. So, last year we graduated almost 10,000 kids that love to go shooting. And so why not go to college and do the same? So we started our college league at the worst possible time ever, just during the pandemic. But what's been great about the college league is we're doubling in size every year. And this year we're going to offer an in-person national college championship. Our college league has over 500 athletes in it this spring, and that continues to grow because those kids are starting these club activities at their college.
When I go to the website, usaclaytarget.com, I say, headline, Clay Target is a safe, affordable, and fun school activity. That pretty much sums it up right there.
Well, when you look at our track record, Mike, and again, thanks to those who are training these kids the right way, as you mentioned, with your grandson, that our league has had over 200,000 student athletes participate. They've shot over 250 million, yes, billion shots, and we have never had a reported injury. So we are the safest sport in high school, and no one can compare to that.
Boy, that's interesting. Thank you for bringing that up. You get a kid playing football, you get a young lady playing softball. If they play 4 years, they're going to eventually get hurt. You don't see that.
Yeah, the statistics say that. No, they don't. And, all the sports these days that are so concerned about concussion protocol, you don't get that in clay target shooting sports. And so, again, every concern that you have for an athlete to get injured in a high school sport these days, it just doesn't happen in clay target shooting sports.
Now, is it all trap, or is there some skeet and sporting clays and such?
Yeah, we offer all four disciplines. Trap by far is our largest, and that's what we started with. And it's really great for these, new student athletes that are coming to the league. I mean, this spring we added 13,000 brand new student athletes to clay target shooting sports. And so when they start in the trap shooting, it tends to be the easier. I can't say that personally for myself because I think they're all hard, but it offers them an easy entry to chase those clay targets that are moving at 44 miles an hour.
So trap is 44 miles an hour. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, as I sit, and I did actually, there was a fun shoot one day last summer with Carter, and I got to shoot with him, and I, to remind myself what it was like, and it was challenging, but it was just fun to be able to shoot next to him and share that experience with him. Just one more bonding experience, and as part of this bigger thing that I talk about all the time, this history and tradition of this outdoor lifestyle, it's just another way of expressing that.
Well, what other sport can you play when you have three generations out on the trap field?
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't any.
Yeah.
There just isn't. That takes the physical capabilities, and as we know in the shooting sport community, is you can participate in a sport for as long as you're breathing, and that's the beauty of it. And so now we see these families and now siblings of these athletes that are getting involved in the league, and their friends are getting involved in the league. Is it's providing a camaraderie that has been yearning for any high school sports. And really we're in an age now where we tell parents to sit behind the bench, behind the fence while their kids go out and play. And we say the complete opposite. Parents, get involved with your team, help your team, help with whatever that they need, and really enjoy the fun that these kids and their families are having in the sport.
We're talking with John Nelson of the USA Clay Target League, the website usaclaytarget.com, usaclaytarget.com. We got to take a break here. John, can you hang with me a few more minutes?
Sure can.
I appreciate that. John Nelson, when we come back, I want to talk to him about a couple of things. Number one, how does this system work? I mean, you're ultimately working toward a state-level championship shoot and then a national shoot as well. But the big question is, if you're hearing this and think, man, this is a great idea, but I don't know anything about it locally, how would you get your school involved? How would you get the athletic director involved? How would you get the Board of Ed to buy into this? What's the process? What's it like? Anyway, usaclaytarget.com is the website, usaclaytarget.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, lots more. And, of course, then we'll wrap the hour up with Paul Phillips right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Battle Creek on WBCK 95.3 FM. You can hear us in Port Huron on WPHM 1380 AM and north of the bridge in Newberry, WNBY 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Killer Food Plots, Michigan-based, family-owned Killer Food Plots. Rich Krazan can be a great source for you as you enter this food plot planting season, right? Month is the May to get those food plots in. What you do now is going to have a direct impact, or can have a direct impact, on the quality of your hunting this fall. Food plotting is a great way to get out there in the springtime. It's a great family activity. It's just a lot of fun, and it's very rewarding to put your time in and then see the fruits of those efforts grow from the ground. And then the first time you see a nice buck standing in that food plot, it's like, wow, how cool is that? Check them out online at killerfoodplots.com. That's killerfoodplots.com. I will tell you, the first thing Rich is going to say is get a soil sample. Get a soil sample, killerfoodplots.com. Right now, we're talking with John Nelson of the USA Clay Target League Association. John, this is all for fun, but there's also working towards a goal at the end of the season, right?
Well, it's mostly for fun. I mean, fun is our second priority over after following safety, of course, and then marksmanship is our third priority. But we do keep score, and we do have competitions. And what we've developed is we've helped develop a team and scoring systems and conference system that allows everyone to be included. So we are very inclusive. We just don't take the top 5 athletes out of a team and use that for scores every week. We use about 70 to 75% of the team. And so it doesn't matter what team size you are, whether you have 5 on a team or whether you have 100 on a team, is we do conferences by team size rather than geographic location, to simply say, hey, you can include as many kids as you want on a team.
But there is a shoot at the end of the season, right? A state championship?
We do. Yeah, so this spring we're in the middle of a conference season right now, and that's going to be then followed by our Michigan State High School Clay Target League state tournament. And for trap shooting, that occurs over a couple days down at Mason, Michigan, as you mentioned, where you've been. And what's great about that particular event is we invite all athletes to participate. And that allows each of those athletes to compete in their own classification based on their season averages. And so we want everyone to have that experience. We have lots of vendors that come in. We're going to have more than 1,500 student athletes participate at that in June. And it's easily become one of the largest trap shooting events really in the country, by the time we get down to that. And then ultimately that, go ahead.
No, I know where you're going. Please continue.
Yeah. And so ultimately then from there is we also have a national championship, and that's where we invite all leagues across the country and their top qualifying teams and athletes based on their season averages to compete on a national level. And that also is at Mason, Michigan, where we've held that for about the last 5 years. And so the city of Mason and the Lansing area does a fantastic job in supporting that event. And it's with 3,000 student athletes that come to that event, it is easily one of the largest in the country there too. But this allows, if you want to be a top competitor, this provides the venue to do that.
Well, I love the fact too that you bring out that it's not just the top 5 shooters or whatever. The whole team can go to the state championship shoot if you so choose. Okay, before we let you go, how would somebody get the ball rolling at their local school district if they want to make this happen?
Yeah, the easiest way is they can go to miclaytarget.com, which is the Michigan Clay Target League. And there at the top of our web pages, you'll see a start a team. And once you submit information there, is we'll provide you all the tools that allow you to go to your shooting range, to your audiences within your parents, and also your school leadership to take you through the process of getting a team approved. And in most cases, that's a pretty easy process, because when you have a couple thousand teams participating in your league, schools aren't as wary as they used to be about, hey, should I do this or not? And we say, hey, about 2,000 schools already beat you to it, so you shouldn't have to worry about it too much. But it's really easy. We have people that help along the way. So we have staff members that help with these parents and these kids even that get these teams started. And eventually, is all we need from the school is just an approval to use the team name and name and a head coach. And then all they need to do is find a shooting range where they can chase those targets.
Far cry from those first few years when you were trying to get things going.
Oh, it's a far cry, and I try to hide the battle scars that are on my back from the doors that were closed on us in early days. But today these school doors are wide open because they see the value of what clay target shooting sports does to these kids and their families.
Well, John Nelson, thank you for helping to make this a reality, and I can tell you firsthand what I've seen is really cool. I would encourage other schools to get involved. usaclaytarget.com or miclaytarget.com. John, have a good day, and we'll talk again.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, we'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine. Again, if your school, check around. Your school likely has a team. And, the season's already started, but maybe the coach will let you get involved. I don't know. If your school doesn't have a team, check into this. It's really quite cool. usaclaytarget.com or miclaytarget.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, Paul Phillips will continue on the shooting topic here, how you can be a better shooter. He's got a school coming up. We'll have details after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Tawas on WIOS, 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. You can hear us in Traverse City, WTCM, 580 AM, and north of the bridge. In Iron Mountain, WMIQ, 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach, just a great place. It can be your Saginaw Bay fishing headquarters. They have great facilities. They have a beautiful boat launch, wonderful campground, a fish cleaning station, a complete marine shop. And they're right, they're literally, you can fish right out in front of the marina. Check them out online at linwoodbeachmarina.com, linwoodbeachmarina.com. Linwood Beach will be the scene of a couple events this summer, The Angler Quest Owners Tourney on Saturday, July 27th. And the Walleye for Warriors event coming up June 8th and 9th. They are still looking for boat captains if you'd like to volunteer, and you don't have to be a charter captain to do this. Walleyesforwarriors.org, walleyesforwarriors.org. Want to turn our attention now to a good friend of mine. His name is Paul Phillips. You know Paul. He's been on the show here several times before, and Paul is one of the best extreme long-range shooters in the world. But beyond that, he is a guy who just likes to teach people how to shoot. Not necessarily at extreme long range, although he's an expert at that. But he wants people to learn their gun, their equipment, and be as proficient with that tool as they can. And he's got an event coming up here quite soon now that I wanted to bring him back on to remind you folks about. So, Paul, welcome back. How you doing, buddy?
Great, Mike.
You've been traveling the world since we last talked, haven't you?
Yeah, I went to France and did a little shooting over there, and took a friend and client and did real well, and now we're back to some nice sunny weather finally.
You didn't miss much while you were gone, I'll tell you that. Paul, tell me about this. Are we calling it a school? Are we calling it a camp? What's the correct terminology?
Call it clinic. It's
clinic,
basically for anybody that wants to learn the fundamentals of long range shooting. and how to apply whatever rifle they have and the system that they have and whatever the needs they have, whether it be competitive shooting, whether it be recreational shooting, whether it be hunting, to learn the process of how to use science of accuracy to effectively make better shots, more accurate shots, and give them a higher percentage of probability of hitting their target. And, based upon my time in the military as a sniper, my competitive shooting career, I utilize all that knowledge to help people learn how to utilize their stuff better.
So
basically.
Is this clinic for somebody who wants to shoot 4 miles or for a guy who wants to be more accurate on a 200-yard shot on a whitetail?
Honestly, it's all applicable. It's a system. Learning how to use all the science of accuracy, learning how to use, rangefinders and kestrels and ballistic data and energy. It's everything. Once you learn the system, whether you're a sniper in the military, a sniper in law enforcement, a hunter, competitive shooter, or recreational shooter, it's all the same process. It's just learning the system.
So you bring your own gear, your own optics, your own ammo, everything to this clinic?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'll be bringing ammunition and guns to help assist, but it'd be better if you had your own rifle and ammunition, just so that you can, you prepare your kit. But obviously, if somebody doesn't have that, I can provide.
Yeah.
That as well.
Yeah, I'm just
obviously limited quantities, right? I mean, I don't
sure.
have.
Yeah. Even you don't have unlimited ammo, or maybe you do. I don't know.
Right.
The goal, from my perspective, is how to be a better shooter using your own gun, your own rifle. Get to know your own gear.
Sure. I wish I had the opportunity when I was a young, up and coming. I wish I had someone I could learn from, because you get fast tracked, Mike. You can spend a lot of money in the wrong direction. And not only that, but if you spend, $10,000 going on a hunt out west, and you have no idea how to make the shot at that distance, or even in Michigan, if it's, let's say it's 275 yards with your rifle, the
350
Legend. What are my capabilities? How do I expand upon them to become a better hunter, or whatever it is I'd like to do? So that's kind of what it's all about.
So where is this and when is it, Paul?
The first class we're doing is May 11th at Two Hats Ranch, and it's in the Big Rapids, Michigan area, and it's a beautiful facility. And they actually, have a range out to 1,000 yards, and we're trying to go to a mile.
Wow.
Private range out to a mile. They're really good folks. They have hunting, they have shotguns. There's a lot of things there that they offer. So it's a wonderful facility in central Michigan.
Wow. And gpgtraining.com, where do we learn more? Where do we sign up, Paul?
Yeah, you go to gpgtraining.com, and then message me, on my email,
Okay.
or that'd be fine. Yeah.
Or folks can get in touch with me too, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and I can put them in touch with you, Paul. All right, Paul,
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a great event. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in it. There is still time to sign up, but don't drag your feet. gpgtraining.com, gpgtraining.com. Paul, continued good luck to you, and you and I will talk again.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Looking forward to getting on with you someday.
I am looking forward to it as well, Paul. Paul Phillips of Global Precision Group, gpgtraining.com, gpgtraining.com. Paul can make anybody a better shooter. I hit about an 8-inch balloon at a mile. First shot. Hunting or shooting with Paul Phillips. So if you're looking to be a better shooter, gpgtraining.com. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, Northern Michigan fishing with Jim Chamberlain plus Amy Trotter from MUCC.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And I do believe the best way to listen to the show, if you can, is on your local radio station, your local AM or FM broadcast radio station. I mean, there you get your local news. I mean, the things you're familiar with, the voices you are familiar with, the voices you are comfortable with. Your local announcers, your local hosts, your local news people. I'm glad to be a part of that. I'm glad to be tied into that local presence through your local radio station. And again, if you can, listen to the show on your local radio station. If you can't, if your local station doesn't carry all 3 hours of the show, and I get it, not all of my stations do. Airtime on the weekends is valuable, and the fact that I get access to any airtime, I appreciate. Or if you live in some part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal, obviously you can't listen to the full 3 hours of the radio show. But there is a backup. The backup is the podcast version of the show. Podcasting has become a ubiquitous term. If people hear something or see something, they now assume it's a podcast. Well, I do have a podcast version of the Outdoor Magazine radio show, and you can hear it on my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. It's on my Facebook page. It's on Amazon Music and Audible. It was a big deal for me to get on Audible because I listened to so many audiobooks on Audible. To know that my podcast is there, too, was pretty cool. Anyway, Twitter, now called X, LinkedIn, yada, yada, Stitcher, play the whole 9 yards. Even YouTube. Yep, I put a version up on YouTube. And at this point, that version that's on YouTube is audio only. Now, I know a lot of people are putting content up there that is video as well. I just don't see a way to put 3 hours of a radio show up there as video content. However, putting up a half-hour podcast as an audio and video format is that's doable. In fact, we've done that in the past. Speaking of those podcasts, each month I do podcasts for Offshore Tackle, Primal Outdoors, and this month we're kicking off, Charlie. The Angler Quest podcast is back with Mr. Angler Quest himself, Brad Dupuis. That's next week. First, this week, we're going to record a podcast for Offshore talking about early season trolling in southern Lake Michigan for browns and steelhead and coho and salmon and bears and tigers and lions. Oh, my. Not really. Speaking of fishing, man, it's a great time of year to be fishing right now, isn't it? Jim Chamberlain knows that very well. He had a phenomenal trout season opener last weekend. He's going to continue his trout fishing efforts and more. You can find him online at fishwithjimoutfitters.com, fishwithjimoutfitters.com, or you can hear him right now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Jim, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing good, but man, you've been in the water a lot more than I have, so I'm just a little bit jealous.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting start to the spring. I think our weird winter has kind of carried over a little bit, and we've had a lot of wind, so being down in the streams has been nice, to say the least. We played around in the lakes quite a bit, but, man, it was rough every day we were out there.
I know, wind, and not just a little bit of wind either.
No, it's to the point where you're saying, why should I go?
Yeah.
So.
In fact, you were telling me a story about your boat basically getting ripped off the dock.
Yeah, the lines broke. The wind was blowing right up the right angle on Torch River and just broke a couple of lines right off of it.
Wow.
So it's a good thing I've got my name and number on that boat because the neighbor was able to call me and I was able to go over and fix it.
Yeah, it's been quite a spring. But tell us about your operation. Now, you're not just a big water troller, but you are doing some river trout trips as well.
Yeah, we're doing some river fishing trips. We play around in the sturgeon for rainbows and some browns there. Play around the Jordan, primarily for browns and steelhead there. And then also on the Upper Manistee for for primarily browns, but you do get an occasional pike and walleye up there too, which is kind of cool.
Walleye. Now, that's something I don't hear you often talk about very often.
No, that was a thing of the past for me. I'd spent a lot of years on Lake Erie, and I've handled enough of those for my lifetime, I think.
You don't want those ugly orange hard-scaled fish anymore, huh?
No, we catch just enough of them to whet the appetite throughout the year.
So what is your main focus then, Jim?
Main focus is Torch Lake and Elk Lake, in the summertime. We do spend a little bit of time in Drummond Island, a couple weeks up there. And then we do spend about a month on Grand Traverse Bay, targeting kings. And then, if a hot bite presents itself, we will go participate in that too, and stuff that's around this area.
Wow. Could you have picked a more beautiful place to make a living?
No, it's a nice office.
I guess so. Man. How'd you end up there, Jim? Because you said you were downstate for a while.
It's just, when you have kids, you want kids closer to the grandparents and things like that. So we ended up here because of that. We were in Cleveland when we had our first kid, and just decided when we were pregnant with the second one that we wanted to be closer to grandparents.
Oh, nice. Nice. And it's worked out well. You got a thriving business here. I first learned about you on Michigan Outdoors TV years ago.
Yeah, it's done very well. Over the years, we've made a lot of nice contacts with some great people, and they fish with us year after year, and we have a good time.
You talk about the relationship with clients. It's interesting, isn't it? Because when you take these people out on your boat for several hours, it's just you and them and the water, and you've got to, you can either form this great bond, or if you're not clicking for some reason, you as the paid professional have to find a way to make that experience on the water as pleasant as possible, even though things aren't going the right direction. Yeah,
and that is a very interesting balance that you have. It took me a long time to figure that out. You don't always click with people perfectly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to find some common ground with them. And, we fish with a lot of Ohio State fans.
Darn it.
But,
Darn.
They are good people. I can't, but, we have a good time with them, especially the last 3 years have been good for us, right?
Oh, yeah. Now you can rub it in. Hey, it sounds like you're on the water today, Jim.
We are out trying to find some spring crappies. I think we are a little bit behind on this, so we've got some live scope activity looking for some fish in a little bit deeper water just to kind of learn where they stage at, so we can do this. It's something we kind of do for ourselves, and kind of bring back the love of the game, because the actual guiding can become a grind at times, and it becomes a job, which I know nobody can really relate to that. That's a fisherman, but it definitely becomes a grind sometimes. It's not just going out and drinking beer with your buddies.
Yeah, it's a whole well.
A good time.
I don't do it professionally, but I do enough of it through my charity trips to get a little bit of a feel for what you're talking about. And yeah, it can be. I feel it when I've got people who paid good money to come out for a charity event and fish with me. I feel an obligation. I feel a responsibility. Number one, to get them fish, and number two, just show them a good time. I feel that.
I mean, I've kind of adopted, the have a good time first. Just make sure we're having a good time, and then, the fishing normally takes care of itself, because we have systems in place, right? So it's there's things that just work. I wouldn't say it works every single day, but it works enough to where you have a lot of confidence in what you're doing, so you can put some focus on the people.
The more time you spend out there, the more fish you catch. The more fish you catch, the more confidence you have. The more confidence you have, the more fish you catch.
That's pretty much the formula for it. And you figure out things that work at certain depths, right? Or in the case of the trout fishing over the weekend, you find certain certain lures that seem to produce and other ones that don't. Where you're catching small ones on one type of bait, but the big ones are picking something else out. We had that happen this past weekend for sure.
Hang tight, Jim. I want to talk more about that. We're talking with Captain Jim Chamberlain of fishwithjimoutfitters.com, fishwithjimoutfitters.com. I've got to take a break. You know how the show works. I'm out of time for this segment. But when we come back, I want to talk to Jim about a couple of things. I want to follow up on this northern Michigan trout stream, or fishing for trout in the streams and rivers. Also, he mentioned a piece of gear. He said live scope. I am fascinated by live scope. I do not have live scope on my angler quest, and I'm thinking, is it worth it for somebody like me who is primarily a troller? I don't know, but I'll get Jim's opinion of that and more. And then later in the hour, Amy Trotter, Executive Director of MUCC, will join me to talk about what's going on in Lansing. She will also answer this week's Ask Avery question. The question is, what are the biggest challenges facing hunters and anglers in Michigan today? You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Carroll on two stations, WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in Ludington on News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN. And you can hear us north of the bridge in the Sioux on WKNW 1400 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Premier Maritime Training. If you've ever wanted to get your captain's license, I think this is your best bet. Captain John Littlefield taught my captain's class, and he can help you become a licensed captain as well. Now, what would you want to be a licensed captain for? Well, obviously, you think of, I want to be a fishing charter, right? I want to take people fishing. But if you're doing anything on the water where you take people for hire, like sightseeing, sailing, river tours, dive boats, towboat, you got to be a licensed captain. Check out the website pmtcaptains.com for more info. That's pmtcaptains.com. John has classes across the state, and I'm sure you can find one that fits your schedule. That's pmtcaptains.com. I told you I have my license. It is, for me, I'm a licensed captain, but I'm not a working charter captain. And by that, I mean I got my license just so I could take people out for charity events, for fundraisers. Several reasons I don't pretend to be or want to be a working charter captain. Number one, I'm not that good a fisherman. I readily admit that. I'm not that good. I catch my share of fish, and we have a good time. But I'm not, day in and day out for a living. No. The second reason, and probably most important, is I have an awful lot of friends who are full-time captains and guides, and I want them to be resources for the show. I want to bring them on the air and talk about what they're doing, and it would be unfair for me to, in some small way, go into competition with these folks. They might say, well, geez, I could book with Avery, this guy I've heard on the radio, or I could book with somebody else. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put myself in that situation. Anyway, pmtcaptains.com, a really good place to check out. We're talking right now with a licensed full-time captain. His name is Jim Chamberlain from fishwithjimoutfitters.com, fishwithjimoutfitters.com. Jim, you talked about the trout opener last weekend. Now, are you done up there in the streams, or are you going to go back?
No, we'll go until the water hits 70. Oh,
well, that could be a while, right?
It's going to be. It could be. I mean, it only takes, the water to get dark, and, you get some, a whole week of, warm weather for it to get there. But normally around May 15th, I stopped doing that. The fish just, they take a beating. You can't really release them at that point. They don't swim away that great. So, it's, and in the streams, that's kind of what I use that for, more of a catch and release thing. Unless you injure one really bad, and then we'll take them. But it's a nice place. It's a great setting for catch and release. So that's what we use it for.
Well, the pics I saw of you last weekend with you and your clients with those big browns, very impressive.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, and last weekend was interesting because we had rain, the whole weekend, and the river was constantly changing. The fish, they move from, being in really deep cover, which are huge log jams, to really being on like inside corners when the water came up. So that was pretty interesting to watch that transition.
You talk about things constantly changing. I mean, that is something that you, as a guy who's on the water one way or another almost every day, you got to rely on that. You got to be in tune to that. I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and there's just things that you figure out, over time that are triggers to, you, especially like on the trout stream, you fish, 4 or 5 areas that that fish hang in the log jams, and they're typically deep in there, and then, it's not happening, and, you go around the corner and there's an inside bend where there's slack water on there because it's a hard bend, and there that trophy fish is sitting right in there. And once they show you something, then you can kind of work that pattern and see if it is a pattern. Well, you're going down.
I think about you fishing those river browns versus trolling for kings in Traverse Bay. You offer a wide range of experiences for your clients.
Yeah, and part of it is I've got to keep it interesting for myself. And I'm sure you can relate to that. If you went out and did the same thing over and over, it would just get old, So I'm constantly looking for other things that somebody may like to do, constantly product developing. And, we're actually out doing that today. We're out, my first mate and I are out here playing around, and, the conditions are not exactly what we want, but it's a nice day, and it's kind of a why not situation, right?
Well, and you have carved out some interesting niches too along the way.
Yeah, and it takes, we figure out, we do like 4 or 5 different things that we may want to try for somebody, and then you might get one of those things that we really pound and try to get people to come up and do it and build something with it.
In the first segment, you mentioned live scope. I'm fascinated by this. I'm not even sure I've ever seen it in action on the water, but just looking at it and researching and studying online, it appears that in certain situations, it can really be helpful. But I don't know. I mean, I'm a troller. Do you see it working in a trolling situation?
We use it on for salmon fishing. I've learned a lot about the live scope stuff. I bought a unit that, I primarily was thinking ice fishing with it, but, we took it out on the boat all last summer and we're playing with it. And it's really neat what you can see. I mean, we have caught some fish that we would not have caught because of it. Fish swimming in the downriggers, and, you slow the boat down, speed it up, or, with the free sliders, you might slack the line and then reel it back tight. So the free slider drops back and then, it comes back really fast. We have seen some benefits to it. Is it necessary for the trolling aspect of things? I don't know. I mean, I would think that it'll get there eventually. And, there's a lot of aspects to it that you don't know when you're buying it. Like your big thing is screen resolution. I bought a EchoMap 93 SV. I bought the newer one, and with the intentions of using it for some other things, like on my jet sled. I installed the transducer that came with the unit, so I can go out and jig for lake trout in the off season and other things like that for it. So. It works really good in, up to about 80 feet of water. At least this unit does. I know some of the other units that with the higher resolution, they really work well in a little bit deeper water. up to maybe 150 or so.
When you say 80 feet or even 150 feet, to me, being a Saginaw Bay guy, I can't even wrap my brain around that. But you've got lakes, inland lakes that deep, don't you?
Yes. Yeah. Several of the ones we fish, Mullet is like 120 at its deepest. Porch is, 280. Elk Lake's 190. So, I mean, there's definitely, we definitely have some deeper water, more of a Great Lakes setting with the inland lake benefits, of the flatter water.
Hopefully, ideally, right?
Yeah. Not this spring, but
yeah. In a normal year, yeah. So if somebody was going to come up and fish with you, Jim Chamberlain, in the next few weeks, and they said, I don't have a preference, you tell me where we should go and what we should fish for to have the best experience, where would you direct them? Where will you be taking people? What are you concentrating on right now?
So, a lot of it would depend on group size, and it would also depend on what they want to do. If they want to keep fish, that's a factor. If there's, more than 2 people, that's a factor. We're doing the river thing because it's been really, really good. Torch Lake has been tougher, just because, every time the wind blows, it rolls the water over. So it's not getting warm enough for us, like it has in the past. So, that is, I guess it's just going to depend on what the weather does and what I see is going to be, a good experience for somebody.
I would think, and again, I don't have experience on deep water for many, many years now, but I would think a deep water lake would be less likely to turn over in the wind. I would think a shallow body would turn over quicker.
No, because your surface water is only going to warm up 3 to 5 feet down,
mm-hmm.
and then the wind's just going to push that water around. So it might be 40 degrees one day, and you go back there and it's 36 in the same spot.
And that 4 degrees can make a tremendous difference, right?
Huge. Yeah. It's a huge difference. The fish just don't want to chase things, and you're pulling those baits at a good clip a lot of times. 2.5 to 3.1 or so. So it definitely has a tremendous factor in it.
Well, Jim Chamberlain, listen, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you get back to your, we'll call it scouting. We'll call it pre-fishing. We'll call it just screwing around, whatever you want to call it. But have fun, good luck, and always a pleasure talking to me, for me to talk to you. And you have one of the most interesting charter businesses I know because of the variety of fish that you chase and the beautiful water that you chase them on. So continued good luck to you, Jim.
Thanks, Mike, and you as well. And hopefully we'll cross paths again soon.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. We keep dancing around it. You've made the offer several times. It is going to happen, and I appreciate it, Jim Chamberlain. Fish with Jim Outfitters, fishwithjimoutfitters.com, fishwithjimoutfitters.com. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, Amy Trotter, Executive Director of MUCC. Amy, a very interesting person, a very knowledgeable person, a lot of insight, a great communicator, and I think she's working very hard there in Lansing for us as outdoors men and women. So we'll talk with her. We'll probably remind you of the upcoming golf outing that's a benefit for MUCC's youth camp, and I will keep her around to answer this week's Ask Avery segment as well. That's coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Flint on Sports Extra 1330 WTRX. You can hear us in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. And north of the bridge in Escanaba, WCHT 600 AM, 93.5 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the company that makes this sound. That's the sound of my Rapid River knife opening up, locking back as I pulled it out of my pocket. You know I carry a Rapid River knife with me all the time. I love these things. Michigan-based, family-owned. Pieces of art meant to be used. Lifetime guarantee. Check out their showroom on US 2 just east of Rapid River. Walk in there and say, hey, I want the promo code Avery 10. They'll give you 10% off on your knife. If you can't make it to the showroom, go to the website, rapidriverknifeworks.us, rapidriverknifeworks.us. Browse their selection, make your order. When you check out, again, use the promo code Avery10. Get 10% off on your knife. How cool is that? rapidriverknifeworks.us, rapidriverknifeworks.us. Continuing this Michigan connection. I mean, listen, I'm a Michigan guy. Raised here. My career's been here. I've traveled elsewhere, but I don't want to live anywhere else. People who listen to this show who are outside of Michigan sometimes say, it's a decent show, but all he talks about is Michigan. Yep. I don't make any excuses for that. I love to work with Michigan people, Michigan organizations talking about Michigan topics. MUCC, Michigan United Conservation Clubs, is one of the groups that I have partnered with. I think they're doing a great job. I would encourage you to strongly consider joining MUCC. Even if you don't agree with everything they do or every stand they take, that's fine. But overall, I think you have to admit they have the best interest of outdoorsmen and women at heart. Amy Trotter is executive director of MUCC, and she joins me now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Amy, welcome back. Always a pleasure. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, I enjoy our conversations. I know you are extremely busy, so I appreciate any access I can get to your time. What are you folks working on right now, Amy?
Well, it is May, so we are really turning our thoughts already to summer, and summer for MUCC means Michigan Outdoors Youth Camp. So we are in full camp mode and the planning, the prepping, and getting ready for a summer of fun.
Tell me more about this camp. I feel like it's been around forever. Who is it designed for? Is it designed for city kids who've never seen a wild critter, or is it designed for kids from families who are already in the outdoor lifestyle?
Well, we're excited that for the last more than 75 years, we've been able to introduce all kids to the outdoors. So wherever they're coming from, whatever their experience is, we have a place for them, and we make everybody feel welcome to, experience and understand the outdoors in whatever way that they are interested in. So our camp is, this year, is going to go back to 7 weeks. We have 2 weeks of day camp for ages 6 and up, and then we have 5 weeks of overnight camp for ages 9 to 11 or 12 and up, depending on the week. So we try to segment, the age groups, but every kid there will have an opportunity to fish, to shoot archery, to shoot .22s, to swim, and to really understand not just the skills in the outdoors, but also the science and the conservation behind our natural resources management. So we're getting kids out in the water to look at bugs, we're looking at birds, we're doing all of those things as well. So it's a really exciting time. And again, we have had kids that have never seen the stars, and we've had kids that have shot in a couple deer, all put together in the same camps.
Where is the camp, Amy?
The camp is actually at a DNR facility in the Waterloo Recreation Area called the Cedar Lake Outdoor Center. So MUCC actually has a long-term lease on this facility with the DNR, so we actually operate, fix up the facilities, keep it running, and that's through a lease with the DNR. So with a really old facility, though, it was built in about the 40s by the old CCC. So we are constant construction and maintenance mode there. And, that's one of the big focuses of May is getting the camp facility ready. So we've got roofs and bathrooms and all kinds of things that we're working on right now.
And to kind of help the cause along, Amy, as you know, there is a Mike Avery Outdoors. I'm going to call it a first annual charity golf outing. It is Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club. And the proceeds from this are to benefit MUCC's youth camp. When the concept of a golf outing came up, somebody said, well, you got to, they can make some money. Where would you like the money to go? I thought immediately, it's got to be for kids. Ding, 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 MUCC and your youth camp.
Absolutely. And we so appreciate it because, as much as we appreciate and love doing things for the kids, it all costs money.
Sure.
It can get expensive to run this kind of facility. So not only the golf outing in July, but we also have a charity shoot in August down at Multi Lakes Conservation Association, where the proceeds for that also goes to support our youth camp.
Beautiful.
So
Hang tight, Amy. We got to take a break. You know how it works. I'll stick around. I'll ask you to stick around for another segment. By the way, if you want to get involved in the golf outing, either to play and or sponsor, it's mucc.org/golf, mucc.org/golf. More with Amy Trotter. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold, WCBY, 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. You can hear us in Houghton Lake on the Twister, 92.1 WTWS. And you can hear us, can we go north of the bridge? Yes, we can. Let's go to Manistee, WTIQ, 1490 AM, 95.3 FM. The Ask Avery segment is brought to you each week by the good folks at Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoors men and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. You know the way this segment works. This is your chance to get involved in the content of the show. You can send me a question, and the best way to do this is via email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. I get a lot of questions via social media messaging. Sometimes it works, but please, the best way to do it, send me an email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. I get a lot of questions that are either directed at me or maybe you want me to pass the question along to somebody else. And this week's is kind of a melding of those two concepts. And I can't, be honest with you, I can't attribute this question to any specific person because I've heard it so many times from so many different people. But the crux of it, the gist of it is, what are the biggest challenges, problems, concerns facing outdoors men and women, hunters and anglers and shooters and trappers in Michigan today? Now, I obviously have some thoughts on this. However, since we have Amy Trotter, Executive Director of MUCC, on the line this week, I thought this is the perfect question to pass along to you, Amy Trotter, because you have a much broader perspective on this than I or the average outdoor enthusiast in our state. So I pose the question to you, Amy. What has you concerned, even to the point of what maybe keeps you up at night these days?
Well, I think this probably is worthy of, many hours of discussion and a PhD dissertation, but I'll give you my more brief and succinct. I passed this around just to the office, just in preparations, and one person argued that it's the Californication of the outdoors here in Michigan. It's that death by 1,000 cuts. But then another person countered that and said, actually, if we could all stick together and understand and appreciate and at least support our differences in the outdoor community, maybe we'd have a better shot at defending against those cuts. So I'm going to go with the latter, actually, and say that, one of the biggest threats is that, in certain arenas and when we have differences of opinion, it feels like that's it. That's done. We're done working with that group or that organization or that selection of people who might hunt or trap or fish differently than I do, and we take our balls and go home. But we really do need to, now more than ever, stand together, recognize and appreciate, and even if we have to agree to disagree on certain things, there's so many other big picture things that we need to stand together on. And, so that's really, I think, the biggest challenge that I don't necessarily have a solution for, except that we need to keep talking, even with people that, again, within the conservation community, about our disagreements and how we can work through those to work on those big picture issues and protect our outdoor heritage.
Even if we don't have an answer to this right now. I think the fact that you bring it up is very important. That realize, I don't care if it's coyote season, I don't care if it's antler point restrictions, a crossbow versus a recurve. There are so many things that we could fight about these days if we wanted to. But Amy, just by bringing it up and saying, look, have a little, I hate to get too politically correct here, but have a little tolerance, right? We're all out here for the same goal. How we do it doesn't necessarily matter as long as we're doing it legally. We got a lot of people out there who want to take this away from us.
Absolutely. And I think, legally is the important thing, because when it gets into, and I've heard it said before, ethics, that's more subjective. Mm-hmm. And that's where we get into those tricky conversations about ethics and values. We want to focus on legal. We want to focus on defendable in the court of law or wherever the defense might come, because we want to make sure that we are not impacting negatively our natural resources from a sustainability standpoint. We got to make sure that we're on the right side of that. But all of those other differences that we might have, again, if they're not harming the resource and long term, then we need to be, as you said, maybe a little more tolerant of that diversity within the conservation space.
Amy Trotter, well stated as always. I enjoy our conversations. I look forward to getting you back on a Wednesday Night Live here pretty soon. And I would encourage people to go to the website, MUCC.org, to strongly consider joining MUCC. It's just a few bucks. And if you want to help out the youth camp and have some fun and play some golf and smoke some cigars and maybe what else you enjoy, Monday, July 29th at the West Branch Country Club. Join us, sponsor if you like. To do that, go to the MUCC.org/golf, MUCC.org/golf. Again, a thank you to Amy Trotter, Executive Director of MUCC. We will take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, we'll talk a little early season big water trolling on Lake Michigan with Captain Dave Engel.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Primal Outdoors, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Garber Chevrolet, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan, and so glad to have you along with us on this first show of the month of May. How did it get to be May already? You know what scares me about this? If it's May already, the next thing you know, we're going to blink and it's going to be July. That's how summer times go. You work your way through the winter, and even though this winter wasn't a bad winter, right? But you work your way through the winter, you You start dreaming about spring and the activities that brings, and then summertime, and you're planning your vacation, you're planning your camping trips, you're planning your fishing trips, you got it all lined up. Here's the things I want to do. And then boom, it's here. And then before you know it, and I don't mean to get ahead of myself here, but before you know it, it's Labor Day, and you didn't get to do those things you promised yourself you were going to do. So let's make a little pact right now, you and me. This summer, we will do everything possible to do as many outdoor-related activities as possible, depending on where you are, what stage in your life. Either like with me, with the grandkids, you, if you've got young kids, I know how busy you are. I know you're being pulled in a dozen different directions. And the way youth sports are these days, it's absolutely crazy. There are no open weekends. You got to make the time, right? So let's do this. Let's decide right now that this is going to be the summer that we are going to spend as much time outdoors as possible, make as many family memories as possible. Now, what does that look like for each family? It's different. Maybe it's a camping trip. Maybe it's to a state park with a tent. Maybe it is a fishing trip on Lake Michigan. Maybe it's that trip to the UP. Whatever it is, make those plans and do everything you can to stick with it, because I know there are a lot of things pulling you different directions, pulling you away from it. If one of your plans involves a big water fishing trip on Lake Michigan, I would strongly encourage you to consider Dave Engel and Best Chance 2 Charters. Although Dave's been out there so long now and he's so well known, I don't even know if he has any openings for the summer. Let's find out. Let's get him on the Outdoor Magazine phone. Oh, he's here. He's on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Captain Dave Engel, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, Mike. Doing great. Thank you.
And we've got a good cell signal this year. You must have taken my advice and just dropped anchor right where you're at.
Well, we're actually right by the harbor. We got a little over a 4-man limit of fish on board. We're trying to finish out our last guy for the morning.
Nice.
Yep.
Listen, what port are you fishing right now, Dave?
We're in Michigan City, Indiana. The big tournament's here this weekend. We fished down here last weekend, did well in the tournament, and they get the Granddaddy one. The Classic is this coming weekend, so we're pre-fishing for it. Fishing's picked up nicely. Like I said, I think we got 22 fish in the boat, so we're well on our way to having a 5-man limit.
So, Dave, at this point, are you concentrating on these tournaments, or are you still taking out clients on charters, or what's the focus these days?
All the above. I charter in every tournament. I don't have a crew. The guys charter me, and we fish in the tournament, have a good time, and we split what we win. So it's worked for me for many, many years, you lose a few or it might cost you something once in a while, but build a really nice customer base from it. There's a lot of competitive people out there. If they feel like that, we take them. Got a lot of ladies that fish with me. Then the lady tournaments they have on Fridays and stuff before all the major tournaments.
Well,
so
early on,
fun.
Early on, I got to believe it was a great way to get your name out there.
Yeah, great. So we've done that. Both my boys have boats. Hunter, who you've talked to.
Yep.
My son, Zach. They fish. One's docked on one side of me, one on the other. And so I'm living the father's dream. And I have my first grandson. So,
well, congratulations, Grandpa.
Yeah, he's 15 months old, Gabriel. And my son, Zach, and his wife had my first grandson. I even got a new boat out of the deal. If you can imagine that. Grandma went out in the boat in the Bahamas and said, the baby, we have a center console. She said, the baby's in the sun. This isn't going to work. We got to have a bigger boat. And I said, okay, Grandma, whatever you want, we're getting it.
Man, that's the best of all worlds right there.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you use that smaller boat for? Because the big boat, I mean, you're chartered in your tournaments, you're on a big, like a 33, 36-footer. What is it?
36-foot tier. No, I'm talking about in the Bahamas in the wintertime. They can stay with us. We had a center console, but we now have a 35-foot pro line down there that we can go fishing on with a cabin. And
man.
everything, all the amenities. The triple outboards. triple outboards, passes everything but a gas station.
The more you talk, the more you're living the dream in my from my perspective.
Never at any point did this old muskrat trapper think he was going to get to do the things I've had a chance to do. I will agree.
Well, let's talk more about that because, you Michigan kid, grew up in Michigan. Your family history is as commercial anglers, right?
Yeah. My grandpa ran the fish market. My dad commercial fished on different boats. And when my generation came along, if you wanted to fish for a living, you had to sport fish. Of course, they hated the sport fishermen because they put them out of business. And I'll never forget telling my dad I wanted to borrow $20 or wanted to borrow some money to start a charter business. He said, I'll give you $20 to get your head examined. They just didn't like but he'd be proud now. My father passed quite a few years ago. My Uncle Bob fished with us for years. Anybody that fished out of Best Chance, he ran the Best Chance boat, and I ran the Best Chance 2 boat. And now my son Hunter runs the Best Chance boat, and he's fishing out of Saugatuck as we speak. So they're catching some kings and trout up there.
How do you reconcile the whole antagonism between commercial fishermen and recreational fishermen? Is that somehow a disconnect in the back of your mind?
Well, I fish in the Bahamas all winter, and our island, we're in a little teeny out island called Green Turtle Key, and you fly in, so you have to fly into Florida, fly into Treasure Key to the main island, Abaco Island, and then take a water ferry out to our island. So there's nothing out there, and our motto is nothing to do and all day to do it. So the guys are all fishermen. They're all the food supplied, the lobsters. They're all some type of fishermen there. So it has become more tourism. I've been there 30 years now. More tourism. So I can sympathize with the guys going out and catching enough fish to sell to the local. Because if you come to you come to the islands, you want to eat lobster and fish. You don't go to the islands to have steak. There aren't any.
Yeah.
So it's a I get that part of it. Do I want the netters to set nets and catch big numbers of lake trout and salmon? No. I'm not for that. It just needs to be regulated, and that's what they're trying to do is find the happy medium. We have to report our catches twice a day or twice a week now, so that we can try and share the fisheries and who's doing what and how many fish. I think where you're going with this, the Indians can take, the tribal guys and stuff. So we're getting it sorted out. The DNR is actually doing a pretty good job with it. Getting it sorted out.
Is commercial fishing and recreational fishing, are they in some ways similar in that when you head out for a day on the water, you're reading the water, you're looking at the conditions? I mean, is there any commonality there?
Oh, 100%. That was one of the things I think that helped me. You can go set a net and never catch a fish in it. You have to be the right way in the currents. You have to be the right, there's a lot more goes on. All these mussels now. Get in those trap nets. We've always got some kind of invasive something. So yeah, you got to be able to read the water and stay up to speed with it and maintain the nets. And it's a lot of work for the amount of money. There are no rich charter captains or commercial fishermen. Take my word for it. They just don't. Not in the Great Lakes area. That's for sure. The ocean going stuff is maybe a little different story, but. Yeah, they're doing it for the love of the sport. We really are doing it for the love of the sport. You've never met a rich charter boat captain. Charter boat captains are notorious for making a small fortune. You know the secret to that, of course.
Start with a bigger fortune. Yes,
that's
I
right.
do. That's the same secret as being successful in the world of outdoor television these days.
Yeah, I agree. You've been through a few.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, we're both still around, too, so that's the best part. Hang tight, Dave. We got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. We're talking with Captain Dave Engel of Best Chance 2 Charters, the website bestchance2.com, bestchance2.com. Dave's been around the Great Lakes for a long, long time. He's probably, I don't know, I haven't researched this, but I can't imagine anybody who has done better on the tournament circuit than Dave Engel. We'll talk more about that. And then also, I got to make myself a note because I forgot to ask him, does he still have openings for charters this summer? Because with a guy as well known as Dave and the customer base that he has built up over all the years, I got to believe a lot of these people are return customers. And that's another question for him. How pick captain? How do you pick a charter captain? That'll be a question as well. So Dave's getting a little preview just by standing by on hold. Dave Engel of Best Chance 2 Charters, bestchance2.com, bestchance2.com. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I would love to hear from you. Don't hesitate to reach out. That's mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Holland on WHTC. That's 1450 AM, 99.7 FM. You can hear us in the central part of the state, WILS, Lansing, 1320 AM. Let's call it good for now. We've got a few more stations, but I have some time yet. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Versa Skins. Just change your skin for the season you're in. Why buy a bunch of different expensive sets of hunting clothes when you can buy one good quality set, one quality suit, top and bottom, and then snap on and zip on an outer shell of a different camo pattern? It's genius. I mean, in less than a minute, you can change from a snow camo, though probably not using that right now, to a blaze orange, to a green, or whatever. It's really, Paul Perrone, the owner, has a great concept here. And if you're looking for big sizes, I'm talking like 4, 5, 6X, Versa Skins can help you out there. And if you're a saddle hunter, probably the hottest thing in the whitetail world these days, Versa Skins makes jackets specifically for saddle hunting. To learn more, go to the website, versaskins.com. That's versaskins.com. While you are online, again, if you would jump over to my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, I would appreciate it. While you're surfing, go to bestchance2.com, bestchance2.com, the website of Captain Dave Engel and Best Chance 2 Charters. He's on the Outdoor Magazine phone line with us right now. Dave, if you go to that website, you can book a charter there. But one of my questions is, do you even have openings anymore? Are your customers all return customers year after year?
Well, I have a big customer base, but, people die, people move, they retire. We're at that age, I think you're joining me, that, a lot of the guys are retiring, and the corporations and stuff don't fish as much as they used to. So there's always, and I have 2 sons.
There you go.
Zach with that poor little baby needs to eat.
Baby needs to eat.
Anybody wants to. That's right. So, no, there's openings. I mean, of course, we're a tourist town. We fill up during the heat of the meet in the summertime. A Saturday in the summer is probably not happening with me, but, there's openings. There's always some openings between the 3 of us. Somebody, can get in. But you want to pre-plan it. Don't call up. Try to go in the morning, but, yeah, we got openings. I'm just applying for my captain's license. Will expire at the end of the season. 45 years.
45 years. Wow. Yeah. Well, congratulations, Cap.
Yeah. Yep. So it's been a good ride.
Well, you've made quite a name for yourself, that's for sure. Staying on the captain's theme here. Say, obviously I would encourage people to book with you if they can, but if they're in a different port where you're not, if you're booked up, how does somebody, the average person who knows nothing about this, how do you choose a good captain to spend your hard-earned money and several hours on the water with? And it's a big investment, and it's time out of your life. So we want the best experience possible.
Well, we make it's kind of a unsaid thing that we say to each other more than anything. People will call and say, do you have any openings for 4th of July weekend, so on and so forth. And would you know anybody? And I say to them, if there's anybody open that I know, you probably don't want to go fishing with them. So that is a problem. The Michigan Charter Boat Association's got a great website. You can click on the city that you want to go out of, and it'll take you right to it. There is a bunch of these people that are going to Fish Booker and other stuff, and those are most of the nightmares that we hear, because they're getting on the captains that are open the most, the guys. And there's a lot of young good, really good young captains. But you just got to, check your references and see how long they've been in business and, see what kind of equipment they got and, what they're doing, what size boats they got and, things like that. It's like any other thing you research.
Yeah, everybody's got to start somewhere, right? Just because a guy is new doesn't mean he's not good.
That's a fact. There's a couple really young, very talented captains that I know, in our area, in the Holland area and stuff like that, work hard and, they kind of get it. That's what it takes. Dedicated, love to fish.
You used a term I haven't heard before. I think I can figure out what it is. Fishbooker.com?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's an online booking service. And the more you're willing to give them, the higher percentage of money you want to give them, they'll book you more charters. And there's been some of these captains that have not done well booking over the years that are now using that, and they're running a lot. We see them run. Wow, I wonder where he's getting all his trips. And that's how that's where they're coming from, some of them. So it's not a great source. I would go to Michigan Charter Boat Association. They're in a drug program. They're been around a while. They're members in supporting the fishery. Not just as we were talking a little bit earlier, not just taking advantage of the fishery, but they're actively, supporting the fishery. As Saugatuck has an association called Saugatuck Sport Fishing Association. Right now, we have 105,000 king salmon, Chinook salmon in our net pens that are getting fed 3 times a day. We'll release those in the next couple of weeks after they imprint the Kalamazoo River. They also planted 50,000 salmon in the river, just let them go. So we're getting the plants are up higher than they've been in 20 years. So fishing's been pretty good, especially for salmon. We have on board today. We have out of 20. I don't know what we're up to. I think they caught a fish or two, but out of the 22 fish when I come down here, we had 20 salmon. So we had a brown trout and a steelhead. So the rest were, all silver fish. So the fishery's good. The fishery's healthy. Was all positive when we had meetings with Jay Wesley, the Michigan coordinator for the Great Lakes for Lake Michigan. And everything looked good. Bait fish count was up. Had a great winter. The fish are bigger. Healthier, so it's all pretty glorious right now. Looks good.
Of those silverfish, those salmon, are they all coho, or you got some kings in there too?
We've been getting a couple kings a day, which is normal. It's April. It's been April, but you need a couple to win the tournament over the weekend. You got to have a couple kings. So, but nobody's in our where we're at here. Nobody's catching any numbers. They are starting to bite, like in Saugatuck North. To Muskegon, the guys are getting, 4, 5, 6 kings. So that's a good start. Mm-hmm. By the time we get home at the Memorial, it'll be game on for kings. That will be our main fish out of Saugatuck, there for months to come.
In the first part of our conversation, you talked about current on the Great Lakes and reading current. I find that fascinating because now, I years ago would look at that water and go, well, there's no current out there. Explain that concept to me and how that affects your fishing.
Well, what happens a lot that you can count on is that the southern basin warms up first, and it tends to push the warm water up the shoreline, the cold water down the center. So anytime you have current, you want to go with it or against it. Straight across it works a little, but if you're going to be fishing every single day like we do, all day long, you want to find that current and troll into it. It's just the way the fish like to feed and the way they like to lay in it and chase stuff in it. So that's reading the current. When you go to Big Asabo Point or Little Asabo Point or name a spot, we go to Wisconsin and fish on those points. You hit the point and the current might be coming from the other way. Might be cold water north of there. And it might be pushing down. So you got to find the current and troll the right way into the current.
Is a current,
there's always current.
Is a current tied into the thermocline in some way, or is it two completely different things?
Well, thermocline is where the water breaks, where warm water's on top, cold water's on the bottom. And they can be opposite. They really can. But when you go out in the summer months, you put your rigger down, you can just tell that it's, pulling sideways or, you want to turn until you get into the current and go straight into it if you can. And when you turn around, all your gear comes up, the divers, the riggers. Well, they're having a hard time. They got one going again. So, the stuff, you just got to read. And I think there might even be able to read it on a lot of these apps and stuff they got now. We first thing we do with these weather buoys that they got out in the morning before we ever get to the boat, we know what the water temperatures are, and that tells us a lot. That tells us it could be an offshore east wind has caused a bunch of cold water to come in. Northwest blow, southerly winds for a month, warm the water up. We can tell all that by looking at the weather buoy out of Port Sheldon, out of South Haven, they're pretty much all the way up Muskegon. You can go and click on those things and bring them up. And mostly the sportsmen, the sporting groups, the steelheaders, the associations will you and things like that pay to have these deployed and, put them out and bring them in so that we can keep track of it. So it's a great thing. You talked about you got a fish on right now. Do you have a first mate down there working with the guys, or is your crew doing everything? Oh, yeah. Co-captain. I've always had a co-captain. You remember Bill Bale?
Yeah.
And, we're pretty much, most of us fish with two captains. So, when you're in your 60s, you might want to go to the Cubs game when they got a good game, or to the Tigers now, and we're kind of excited about the Tigers again. I think they got a couple going. I'm going to have to go help them. Well, that's okay. Yeah, hey, you know what? That's okay because we're just about out of time. So I appreciate that. I'll let you get to your fishing, Dave. And I wish you good fishing, good luck in the tournaments, and have a great summer. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Captain Dave Engel of Best Chance 2 Charters, the website bestchance2.com, bestchance2.com. I was thinking about, let's see, I fished with Dave a couple of times. One time I remember was out of, I thought it was St. Joe, but maybe it was Saugatuck, maybe it was Holland. And I don't know how we ended up there. I think the local chamber or CVB, Convention and Visitors Bureau, invited some outdoor writers in because actually on that boat, I ended up with Captain Dave Engel, Captain Bill Bale, who he just mentioned. Mark Romanak was fishing with us. I was on the boat, and I think there was another person too, but I can't quite remember who it was. So to spend time on the water with people of that quality and that caliber and that level of expertise and that knowledge, as much time as I have spent around people who are bona fide experts in hunting and fishing, you'd think I would have absorbed more than I actually have. You'd think I'd be better at this than I am. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, a few more things I want to wrap up for this week's show. And speaking of wrapping up, we will wrap it all up with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. Last week, I was real lucky. I found the video version of Dave's recipe and posted that online. That was kind of cool. I'll do that whenever I can, but don't expect it every week. More after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show on 33 stations across the great state of Michigan, including WMLQ in Manistee. That's 97.7 FM. Let's go just down the coast to Muskegon, WKBZ 1090 AM. Let's jump to the other side of the state, the Thumb, Sandusky, WMIC 660 AM, 95.3 FM. And as long as we're jumping back and forth, let's jump back to the other side. Same side of the state. I got geographically challenged here for a minute. Saginaw, WSGW, AM and FM, 790 AM, 100.5 FM. I'm in the studios of WSGW right now, and all I have to say is, Charlie. And you know what I'm talking about. Charlie Rue doing a wonderful job as always. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that. And this break, well, let me tell you who this segment's brought to you by. Reader Landscaping. Let Reader take care of your lawn and property because it's your nature and our nurture. Let Reader create an outdoor getaway in your backyard. Whether it's your primary residence, your place up north, they can help you out. Just a little maintenance. Just tweak, just mow it, trim it,
or you can do a full-blown year-round maintenance with landscaping. You should see the projects these guys have been involved in and the work that they have done. Now, they've done some work at our house, and it looks beautiful, but not the scale of what they're capable of with these, backyard, patio, kitchen, brick, pool. It's absolutely amazing. The Reader guys were over to my house this week, opening up the sprinkler system, which allowed us to turn on our waterfall feature in the backyard, which was put in there by the Reader guys. And it looks and sounds beautiful. Can't say enough about these folks. I think they do a wonderful job and would encourage you, if you need maintenance or landscaping, get in touch with the folks at Reader Landscaping. ReaderLandscaping.com. That's ReaderLandscaping.com. Okay, I was talking about being here in the studio with Charlie Rood. Charlie has 40 years in broadcasting. I have more than 40 years in broadcasting. So in this studio right now, there's more than 80 years of broadcast experience. And you should hear the conversations we have. Actually, during this break, it was all business related. I was answering some emails and some questions. Now listen to this. You think all I do is sit in front of this microphone and talk about hunting and fishing, right? We're talking about server problems at one of my northern local affiliates. And then the conversation moved over to feed times, satellite feed times for the satellite distribution system for the show. There's a lot going on here behind the scenes. Fortunately, I don't have to be an expert in all of it. I have to have just enough knowledge to get by, and I work with experts. That's kind of the same way I look at my hunting and fishing passions. I'm not an expert. I've never claimed to be an expert. You know, the biggest way to put a target on your back in anything in this world is to come out and say, I'm an expert and you should listen to me. You want to put a big bullseye on your back, that's the way to do it. I'm not an expert in anything. But I like to think that I've been successful in surrounding myself with friends and coworkers and partners who are experts. So whether it's in the broadcast world, how do I do this? How do I make this happen? Whether it's in the social media world, whether it's in the online world, or whether it's in the world of hunting and fishing. If I don't understand something or don't know how to do it, I have no shame, no problem in reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, how have you been fishing? You mind? I'm not looking for your honey hole, but just give me a depth of water and get me started. Or hey, turkey hunting's been a little hard. Are you? What are you doing right now? Are you putting out a Jake decoy yet or not? Just little things like that. I don't believe you can ever master hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping. You can always learn, always get better, always open your eyes, always broaden your horizons, always have new experiences. But it's not something you master. And would you want to? Would you want to go on the water or out in the woods and look at that experience and say, yep, I did that as well as it can be done. Nobody will ever do that better than I just did. I have reached perfection. I don't want to. No. I want to go out there and maybe get frustrated once in a while, maybe get challenged once in a while, maybe have Mother Nature throw you a curveball. You have to adjust with it. That's all part of the experience. I'm talking about that in the first hour. It's the experience. The experience is the experience. Blatant promotion here. We are going to have, I think, what's going to be a very wonderful experience this summer, and it's not too early to book. The first annual Mike Avery Outdoors charity golf outing at the West Branch Country Club, Monday, July 29th. Benefits to benefit MUCC's youth camp. If you'd like to join us to play and or sponsor the event, there are several tiers, and it's not that expensive. Go to the website, mucc.org/golf, mucc.org/golf to sign up. Love to have you there. You don't have to be an expert golfer. You don't even have to be a good golfer. Just want to show up and have fun and support a good cause. We would love to see you there, mucc.org. .org/golf. Let's see, how else can I save you some money? Go to rapidriverknifeworks.us. Use the promo code Avery10. Rapidriverknifeworks.us, Avery10 for 10% off. MichiganBrand.net. Promo code Mike20. Save 20% off your entire order. The Jays Wraith promotion has expired for now. More coming up. I guess that's it. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. I have no idea what he's going to make for us this week. Thank you so much for joining me this week here on the Outdoor Magazine show. I do certainly appreciate it. There are a lot of things. A lot of other things you could be doing right now. A lot of other content you could be listening to. The fact that you hear my voice, whether it's the broadcast version of the show or the podcast, means so very much to me. I can't even begin to tell you. I also appreciate the partnership and friendship of many people I have worked with over the years, including wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. And if you've been with us before, you know I like to wrap up each week's show with the chef. And let's do it once again as we welcome Chef Dixie Dave Minar to the Outdoor Magazine show. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Good. Yourself, Michael?
Good.
Did you eat some of that turkey yet?
No, I gave it all away. I gave it to my buddy.
Oh.
I gave the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, actually, I breasted it out and the turkey legs, the drumsticks, and I gave it to my buddy Doug, who allowed me to hunt his property, and his son, Jake, is going to take half of it. But they're actually going to smoke it, and I wouldn't be surprised if I get a little taste of it to see how it comes out. But I just thought it was the right thing to do, to share it with them.
Wow. That's very Christian of you, Michael.
Well, every once in a while, I try. So listen, what do you have for us this week?
I got on page 61, we got a wild turkey au gratin. Did you find this recipe?
No, I don't. I don't have this one posted online. I tell you what I will do is I'll search to see if I can find it in the archives and then post it, because what you're referring to is last week, your turkey with strawberries. I had that on YouTube and put that on my Facebook page as well, and I thought that was very cool. Did you get a chance to see that again?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yep. After seeing that and then the recipe, it all ties together.
Yeah, it's nice. So I will do that whenever I can, but I don't know if I'm going to find it this week. So why don't you go ahead and give us what you got?
Okay, so this is the wild turkey au gratin. It's for 4 portions, and you can use leg and thigh meat if you put it in a crock pot and then cook it till it's tender, and because then you can pick it all off, and you can use breast meat also. You need a meat, about 2 pounds of turkey would be for 4 people. That'd be 8 ounces each, about 6 to 8 ounces would be good. Medium onion diced fine, 12-ounce package of cheddar cheese shredded, 1 to 1.5 cups of seasoned Italian breadcrumbs, 12-ounce package of mushrooms sliced thin, a couple tablespoons of garlic butter, or just a couple of cloves of garlic diced up real fine, 3 to 4 cups of either chicken gravy or turkey gravy, a pound of cooked extra wide noodles, and a half a cup of heavy cream. So after you get the legs and thighs nice and tender, pick it all off and dice it up. So now in a pan large enough to hold everything, you want to saute the onions and the mushrooms for just a couple of minutes, just to kind of break that flavor loose. And the garlic, you can put the garlic in there too if you're using fresh garlic. Add the diced meat and the gravy, and then bring it up to a boil, and add half of the cheese and the cream. Reduce it down, reduce the heat, and then simmer it for about 5 minutes to get everything nice and tender and ready to go in the oven. So you're going to divide the hot cooked noodles on 4 separate oven-proof plates. Spoon this mixture over the noodles. Sprinkle the remaining cheese and some crumbs on top, as much of the crumbs as you like, and place it under a medium-hot broiler. And when it's nice and when the crumbs are golden brown and the cheese is nice and bubbly, it's ready to be served. This is a killer way to use the legs and thighs, and you can put breast meat in there too.
I was reminded last week when I dressed my bird out how much beautiful meat there is on a big tom.
There is, isn't there?
Yeah, there really
the
is.
lobes are big.
Yeah. Hey, have you had a chance to be out turkey hunting yet, Dave?
No, I haven't. I've been working on the house.
Well, listen, maybe somebody needs to define for you and explain to you the concept of retirement. Maybe, huh?
Kind of boring. It's kind of boring.
You're supposed to be using this time to do the fun stuff, and the work stuff is secondary.
Oh, when the work stuff gets done, then I can have.
All right, stuff. Fair enough. See, that's from the work ethic that you've had for so many years, for your entire life, that made you so successful as a chef, Dave.
Yep. We had a really good run, 35 years.
Oh, 35. Wonderful. And you're still available for catering. It ain't over yet. You're still available for catering.
Yep. We got a few lined up this summer already.
Perfect. And if somebody wants to get in touch with Dave, maybe an easy way to do it right now is to send me an email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, and I will put you guys in touch with each other. How's that sound, Dave? Is that a good way to do it?
That sounds great. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. Thank you, buddy. A big part of the Outdoor Magazine show. As are you. Because if you weren't listening, there'd be no reason to do this. There'd be no reason to worry about servers in the Northland. There'd be no reason to worry about satellite feed times. There'd be no reason to worry about guests not showing up. There'd be no reason to worry about hitting the time marks perfectly. There'd be no reason for any of this. But I love this. And I appreciate you offering me the blessing of being able to do this by listening to the show. The broadcast version of the show, I strongly believe that's the best way to listen if you can. But the podcast version of the show, thank you. Also, the online stuff, the social media stuff. I'm as active as I can be. I feel like I post a fair amount of content. I do live streams every week, at least a couple of live streams. Every Wednesday morning at 8:45, a Behind the Mic segment, and every Wednesday night at 7, the now infamous Wednesday night live segments. I would encourage you to join me for either or both of those on social media. The website, mikeaveryoutdoors.com. The email address, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Thanks for joining me.